Apple just pulled the plug on their most expensive consumer product ever. The Vision Pro is officially dead. Production has completely stopped, and if you're thinking about buying one, you might want to know what really happened behind the scenes at Apple Park. Remember that flashy launch event? Tim Cook standing there calling it the future of computing? Well, turns out the future lasted about 10 months. Apple reportedly told their manufacturer Luxshare to shut down production lines in November, and those lines haven't started back up. They're sitting there, silent, collecting dust. Here's the brutal reality. Apple wanted to sell 800,000 Vision Pros in the first year. They sold 370,000. That's less than half their target. For context, Meta sold 3 million Quest 3 headsets in roughly the same time frame. 3 million versus 370,000, and the Quest 3 cost $500. But the numbers only tell part of the story. What's happening inside Apple right now is fascinating. According to people directly involved in making components, warehouses are literally filled with tens of thousands of undelivered parts. Some factories stopped making Vision Pro components as early as May. May! That's just 3 months after launch. You know what's really telling? At peak production, Luxshare was cranking out 2,000 Vision Pros per day. By October, they'd cut that in half. By November, 0. The production lines are still there, technically ready to restart if demand picks up. But let's be real, that's not happening. The failure goes deeper than just sales numbers. People who actually bought this thing are returning it in droves. We're talking about customers experiencing headaches, vision issues, neck pain, and motion sickness. Imagine spending $3,500 on a device that makes you physically ill. Even the people who kept theirs reportedly aren't using them much. The killer apps everyone expected, they never showed up. What makes this even more embarrassing for Apple is how they position this product. This wasn't supposed to be some experimental gadget. Tim Cook literally compared it to the Mac and iPhone, saying Vision Pro would introduce us to spatial computing the same way those devices revolutionized personal and mobile computing. That comparison looks pretty rough now. The timing couldn't be worse. While Apple was struggling to move Vision Pros at $3,500, Meta dropped the Quest 3S at $299. That's not a typo. $299 versus $3,500. Meta's playing checkers while Apple thought they were playing 4D chess. Inside Apple, the panic is real. They've completely suspended work on the Vision Pro 2. Not delayed, suspended. Instead, they're scrambling to develop a cheaper model they hope to release sometime in late 2025 or 2026. But here's the kicker. Even for this cheaper version, Apple is only expecting to sell 4 million units over its entire lifespan. That's their optimistic projection for a product that's supposed to be more affordable and accessible. You might wonder why Apple didn't see this coming. Well, they kind of did. Even Tim Cook admitted in interviews that Vision Pro wasn't meant to be a mass-market product. But there's a difference between niche and dead on arrival. The original iPhone was expensive too, but people could immediately understand why they wanted one. With Vision Pro, even Apple employees are struggling to explain what it's actually for. The inventory situation is almost comical. Apple has enough Vision Pro units stockpiled to last through 2025, maybe longer. They produced components for up to 600,000 headsets, thinking demand would explode. Instead, they're sitting on a mountain of unwanted hardware. Those beautiful aluminum and glass headsets, each one meticulously crafted, are just taking up warehouse space. What really sealed Vision Pro's fate was the complete lack of must-have experiences. Where's the killer app? Where's the game or productivity tool that makes people say, "I need this"? Apple banked on developers rushing to create amazing spatial computing experiences. Instead, most developers took one look at the installation base and walked away. Why spend months developing for a platform with maybe 400,000 users when you could build for billions of iPhone owners? The ripple effects are already starting to show. Apple has been quietly consolidating Vision Pro demo areas in their stores. Remember those dedicated spaces with the comfy chairs where you could try the headset? They're disappearing. Some stores have already removed them entirely. That's not what you do with a product you believe in. For Apple, this represents something bigger than just one failed product. This is their Newton moment all over again. For younger viewers, the Newton was Apple's ahead-of-its-time personal digital assistant from the 90s that flopped spectacularly. It took them years to recover from that failure. Vision Pro might be even worse because of how much they invested, both financially and reputationally. The question now is whether Apple doubles down or retreats. They say they're working on a cheaper model, but cheaper for Apple could still mean $2,000. That's still 4 times more expensive than a Quest 3. And if the cheap version is just a watered-down Vision Pro, why would anyone want it? There's also a new rumor about an incremental update to the current Vision Pro with a faster chip. But seriously, who's asking for that? The problem isn't processor speed, it's that nobody knows what to do with this thing. Making it faster won't fix the fundamental issue that it's a solution looking for a problem. The real tragedy here is that the technology inside Vision Pro is genuinely impressive. The displays are incredible. The hand tracking works like magic. The build quality is classic Apple. But none of that matters if wearing it gives you a headache and there's nothing compelling to do with it. What happens next could define Apple's strategy for the next decade. Do they keep pushing into AR and VR, or do they quietly abandon it like they did with the car project? My guess is they'll release that cheaper model, it'll do okay but not great, and then they'll pivot to smart glasses in a few years and pretend Vision Pro never happened. For now, if you see a Vision Pro in an Apple store, take a picture. You're looking at a $3,500 piece of tech history. A reminder that even Apple, with all their resources and expertise, can still faceplant spectacularly when they misread what people actually want. The Vision Pro will go down as one of Apple's biggest failures, not because the technology was bad, but because they forgot the most important rule in tech. It doesn't matter how advanced your product is if nobody wants to buy it. And at $3,500 for a headset that makes people nauseous, gives them headaches, and lacks compelling content, it turns out nobody really wanted to buy it. What do you think? Was Vision Pro doomed from the start, or could Apple have saved it with different decisions? Like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video.